There's one thing, actually there's two things left I can think of. First, we need to set up defaults because I don't want empty categories for new users. I want them to be able to have an initial, not full board, but an initial set of categories that they can see whenever they create the app. And to do that, I'm going to do that by creating a data collection for default categories. And one of the reasons I have to do it this way is because I'm building securely and I've limited the categories. I can't have categories there that are default for everyone. I need to create them from a different data collection that is available to them. So by creating default categories, I'm going to, and it's really going to be default settings because I could use this in a variety of ways as I want to move forward. Like I could create boards from this in the future or anything in their system I want. I could create a whole set of values for them. I want to create a field for the default value content. And I'm going to do just a label, default value label. The most important thing is I want default categories to show up right here. And it's going to be a list of categories and it's going to be an array of data. And it's important to know what to do about here. So it's the thing that we have to remember is we're doing the same thing that we did earlier when we created a bunch of records at once, but we're not pulling it from a data collection that we have. We're actually going to pull it from a field value. And so we need to actually create the array of data that we want to put into it. And so this is something that we can just type out here. You might find other ways of getting the specific array in like a little mini workflow yourself later on if you wanted to. But to create our own array, we can just do a big bracket, a squiggly bracket, and then within each squiggly is one record, basically here. And what we need to do is create all the records that we want to get created for that user. And we're going to just put it all in one field inside of that data collection. So we know when we want to create a new record, the ID value needs to be 0 to tell it to create a new record. And if we recall, what we actually want to do is create, because what we're doing is just creating the default categories for them. I want to create a default category, description, and order. And we're going to create 4 here. And to help me with this, I'm going to copy and paste these values at the top. Category name, description, and order. And so I've already given the ID there. I want to say this is the category name. I'm going to say, let's start with revenue opportunity as a name. So you can see whenever we need to add a value to an array of data, we're going to just do comma, name the value here, or rather quotes, name the value, colon, give the value its actual value. So this is the ID, a value of 0, comma, that introduces the next property inside of that array. This is literally the same thing as looking at a data collection. When you see a field like, oh, this field's up here, and then there's data that shows up underneath it, the same exact thing is just ID equals this. And it's actually how in code that data is typically saved. It's saved in this exact format. Just when you use databases and collections, it organizes it for you in a grid because obviously that's much more human friendly. And so I'll always harp on understanding JSON a little bit better because this is JSON. It's just a humanized way of seeing data. And it's what lets computers' APIs connect to each other. And especially in the rise of AI, being able to create essentially your own form of communication with AI in the form of JSON, super powerful. And I'll have a lot of content on that. So I've given it a name. Let's just give it a quick description. This will slide into this field for description. So how much revenue do this generate? Customers, pension, right? Expansion. Next, we're going to the next value of order. We're just going to put this as order 1. So order, and then we're going to close the squiggly to end the first array. So all I'm going to do in this is just, I need to put a comma, and then I copy that value again, comma, copy the value again. comma, copy the value again. Then I'm going to put the hard bracket there. So I've created an array of 4 items. These items are identical now, so I'm going to fix that. So this is the array I am going to use to create values when we get a new user. So I'm going to go to data collections, go to my default settings, default categories, and now I'm just going to put that array right inside of that default value content there. And so now when I need to go get that array, I'm going to go get it and use it to create the content. And that is going to happen on our user authentication process when we have a user sign up. When we sign up, I'm going to have to add a step in the middle of the sign up process. So this is our default sign up templates that you can get and add to any project. To quickly walk through it, when you want a new user to sign up, first you want to sign them up. This is just creating the record that is that account. We're going to assume we're going to do a check in that action to see if the email is valid, the password is available, all that. Once we know that that's successful, then we're going to log them in. So this is 2 events that a lot of people don't realize. When you create a user, you want to create it and then you want to sign them in, and it's sequential. So that's going to happen next. Now, normally next we do the redirect to the app. This is where I need to add a new flow for create default records. And this is something that you're going to do really frequently as you build more advanced SaaS software inside of Bildr or anywhere. You will create the user and you're going to want to have certain content for that user owns already in the system. And so you're going to have a step of your flow that creates those records for them, even if it's in the behind the scenes. And so when we do our create default records, we are just going to create record with Bildr. It's going to be create records for the default categories. We're going to go to our data collection. We're creating categories. And we're going to get this from a data collection. And it's actually going to be from our default settings. And we haven't gated our default settings collection so they can access it because they're authenticated. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. So we're not going to allow people to get this collection unless they're authenticated. So we're going to make sure they're authenticated first. And then to do anything else, we're going to limit it to and claims, which is an additional permission I would have to add to them to be able to do it. So they're not going to have that, but they're going to be able to get it, which is important because they need to be able to get it at this moment. Because what I really want to do is just get the default value content. I could filter by like the text name itself. I'm just going to go grab the specific record ID that I want, which is this right here. Maybe I had like 5 things, like I had default boards that I also want them to have. I could have a default board record already here. Actually, I don't even need a default board record here because I'm just going to do with a board. All it has to be is a description. It's a single board and single description. So I can just do that directly in an action. Create record. I'll do this one really quickly. Board name from text. We'll just say description. Text. I might do something like if I was asking for their name here, I could say like Josh's first board or something like that if I wanted to. I could use like a concatenate function, which lets you put together different values. So you can use variables next to, let's say, like a raw text idea that you have. So we're going to create that record for this user. And here we're going to create the categories from a data collection from default settings. And this is interesting. So we're actually getting the data format in a comma separated, meaning we're only going to get the value in this field. However, this field itself is an array. So the last thing we just needed to make sure is we were referring to on success. Our successful sign-in was not to redirect to app, but it was actually create the default records, which also will then nest the redirect to app field. And so I think we're ready to preview. I'm sure there's a little bugs that we'll have to work out. We'll put our bug hat on here to work through that.